the consequences on your drinking when it comes to your children? And he turned around and said, well, nothing really, because they never see me drink. I don't drink in front of them. I hide it from them. Okay. What about work? Like if you keep drinking, right, and it's a problem, what's going to happen with your career? Well, nothing, because since COVID I work at home, so nobody ever sees me and I can actually be drunk at home and my performance doesn't deteriorate. Okay. Well, what about at home? What's going to happen with your relationship with your wife if you keep drinking? Oh, nothing really. Like she enjoys a drink too, so it's not a big deal. And I sat there thinking, how do I help someone who believes that he has no problems in life, right? But because he was on the call with me, something must have moved within him to seek help. The needle must have twitched at least, but his protective parts, they had already built a fortress of justification. A fortress made out of, it's not that bad.
You don't need to hit rock bottom to be stuck. In fact, some of the hardest people to help, the ones who stall the longest, question themselves the most, and carry their suffering in silence, they're the ones who are pretty good at life. They've got a decent job, a relationship that hasn't imploded yet, maybe a few wins under their belt. They've even cut back on drinking. But that's the problem, because not bad becomes a holding cell for their potential. They're not in hell, but they're not in heaven either. They're in some sort of purgatory. And we're going to talk about that today. Welcome to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. My name is Davy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people do the same, like right now. This episode is the continuance of our Coach's Corner episode, where I bring to you an insight that I uncovered during one of the sessions I had with one of my dear strivers, people who are hiring me to help them to become alcohol-free as fuck and live a self-led life. One client, we'll call him James. He came to me a while ago, mid-40s, married, kids, has a very successful career. He's not spiraling out of control. He's not waking up in a ditch. He has no DUI. His marriage is going okay. His relationship with his kids are fine. Everything seems to be gravy, right? Now, James was drinking less than before, doing more meditation, moving his body, reading some self-help books, attending Strive workshops, doing coaches with me. So on paper, looks like progress, right? But when I asked, what is your why? What is your why? This is when the kind of like the eyes glaze over, right? When I asked, what is your vision for life beyond alcohol? This is where the pause comes in. And then I get a list of other people's goals. Be a better husband, be more present, have more energy, set an example for the kids. And it feels like great aspirations, but not really his. And that's when it hit me that he hadn't yet decided. He was still dabbling in transformation, but he hadn't really chosen to live a self-led life because things weren't that bad. And it reminded me of a choose yourself call I had once. So a choose yourself call is a call that you can have with me for 30 minutes to decide whether we're going to choose each other in the client coaching relationship. And I was on one of these calls with a bloke once, and I asked him, what are the consequences? Like, what's going to happen if you don't change, right? Like, what are the consequences on your drinking when it comes to your children? And he turned around and said, well, nothing really, because they never see me drink. I don't drink in front of them. I hide it from them. Okay. What about work? Like if you keep drinking, right, and it's a problem, what's going to happen with your career? Well, nothing, because since COVID, I work at home, so nobody ever sees me and I can actually be drunk at home and my performance doesn't deteriorate. Okay. Well, what about at home? What's going to happen with your relationship with your wife if you keep drinking? Oh, nothing really. Like she enjoys a drink too, so it's not a big deal. And I sat there thinking, how do I help someone who believes that he has no problems in life, right? But because he was on the call with me, something must have moved within him to seek help. The needle must have twitched at least. But his protective parts, they had already built a fortress of justification. A fortress made out of, it's not that bad. And I know that story myself because I've lived it. Back in the railway days when I was alcohol reliant, If someone was to ask me what my life was like, I would have answered like the Lego movie. Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome. Like I had the wife, I had the kid, I had the house, I had friends, I had money, status, structure, everything was working until it wasn't. And then I became alcohol free as fuck. And I had this remarkable transformation, right? I started traveling around the world, working, poker gigs. I was coaching people out of the liquid lie. Everything was hunky dory. But then poker and the poker industry became my railway, became my new path of least resistance. I was one of the most recognized writers in the poker industry, top tier interviewer. I had deep relationships with high stake poker players. But all of a sudden, I realized that there was no deeper vision. There was no reason why. I was succeeding, but I wasn't growing. I was turning up for the paycheck, but there was nothing more. And the success, it numbed me, just like alcohol used to, because the path of least resistance can wear many masks and it can take you down many different roads: comfort, money, praise, even purpose. So we're going to take a short break right now. But while we do, I want you to sit with this. Where in your life are you quietly choosing the path of least resistance? Where is not that bad keeping you from something fucking brilliant? You might not be in crisis, but are you actually awake to the potential that you have inherent within you? Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast. And before the break, we were talking about my fake client, James, and maybe about you too. Because the truth is, ambivalence is far more insidious sometimes than crisis. When everything's on fire, you have no choice but to act. When everything looks groovy and calm on the surface, but feels dead underneath, you can gaslight yourself. You can say things like, who am I to complain? We've got things pretty good. Let's not rock the boat. But that quiet ache, the gnawing sense that something is missing, that's the call. That's your inner world trying to speak to you through the numbness of good enough. The absence of catastrophe doesn't mean the presence of peace. Your drinking doesn't have to destroy you for it to be holding you back. Your job doesn't have to break and you to be fired for it to keep you small. Your relationships don't have to implode for it to feel lonely. This is the slow death of a parts-led life. And this is what keeps people orbiting the Strive community without ever planting 2 feet into the soil. And here's what I told James. Until you decide, until you choose a new identity, a new vision, a new way of being, your life will keep looping. And you don't have to suffer, but you do have to decide. Because ambivalence is not neutrality, it's resistance dressed in comfort. Today's daily vow. Today I will not drink. I will stop hiding behind not that bad. I will face the part of me that prefers a numb life over a true one. I will choose clarity over confusion, self over stagnation, truth over terrible lies. Because I am ready not to avoid catastrophe, but to create a masterpiece that I call my life. Some questions for you to reflect on as you walk about the world today. Where in your life are you coasting on good enough energy? What decision are you avoiding because your parts are whispering, it's not that bad? And what would your life look like if you stopped asking, is it bad enough to change? And start asking, is this the best that I can become? Have a think about that, okay? If this landed today, please rate and review the podcast for me. It will help more people find it. If you want to learn more about our new course, Strive Foundations, email me at thestrivemethod@gmail.com and just say, I'm ready, dude. And I'll let you know. 20 workshops, 47 English pounds. Those workshops are taken from the Strive Method. It'll get you a really good look at what we do in that 5-month program. And get stuck into it, right? Are you going to say the sobering vow with me today? Hand on your heart, one on your belly. Big deep breath. Repeat after me. I am a striver who is alcohol free as fuck. And I will not drink because that is not what I do. And that is not who I am. Until tomorrow, much love and strive on, everybody.